Hi, everyone. Welcome back to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. This week, we are going on a water break with the insane podcast, A Drum Corps AF.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
Hi, everyone. I am Nicole Younger, and we really have a special On a Water Break today. So before we get into our guest, joining me once again on the sidelines this week is Trish. Hey, Trish.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You look so studious.
I know I'm in my classroom today because of time constraints. I'm having to do this at 4. I didn't get to go home first, which is a little bit disappointing because I have my whole new setup. I have a new ring light. I have a new camera. I have a new desk. I have everything. But it's just as good here at my school desk, I guess, right?
Hey, you know what? The next time you have it and you have everything set up, we'll just make it a big deal to be like, oh, where are you?
Okay.
Where are you doing this from? Oh, are you an exotic vacation? So Trish and I just did an episode with Steve Vickers from Drum Corps World, and now we're back doing the dark side of the activity. Ooh. So I'm sure you've listened to a few of these episodes of Drum Corps AF. So what's your first impression on your first listen?
Oh my gosh. Like I did listen and man, I kind of feel like we're like the Bravo over here. And I feel like you guys are like the Stern show of the activity.
Yay!
I mean, y'all got the F-bombs dropping. Y'all got the, I learned one lesson right off one of your first intros. Don't take you guys off because you're going to get called out.
I liked the fact that it sounded just like friends sitting around talking about drum corps.
Yeah. I mean, I've always kind of equated us to like a Bravo show. I've been waiting for like the Real Hosts reunion episode. I think, but I've always kind of equated us to that. And I kind of see Jeremy as the Andy Cohen. But and then I heard you guys, I was like, whoa, these guys are they're the Stern show over here. Nothing's off limits, nothing's off so me being from the Bronx, I kind of like it. So,
well, I liked that, but I also like the fact that they are, in the nicest way possible when I say this, guys, like idiot savants of drum corps. Like they really know what they're talking about. And then bringing back those old, honestly, old shows and talking about old drum corps like Dutch Boy and, Velvet Nights and things like that. And I'm just like, oh, this is like it's unlocked core memories because this is where it's humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Like it's where we all started and like how we talked about drum corps, sitting on the bus, going to a show or going to your next, show site or something like that. But I do feel like I was like, these are my people. I need to talk to them a little bit more often. But just to let everyone know, Drum Corps AF is an irreverent podcast about drum corps and the marching arts. So stars Nick Powers and Sage for the love of the activity. They decided to cut through the sweet talk and get to the real commentary about drum corps. And as they said, call it stark, call it shade. It's what we do. But at the end of the day, we still love drum corps. Perfect. All right. So please welcome one of the originators, the OG, Sage Lee, and the guy keeping it all together right now, Brandon Worf. Hello.
Howdy ho.
Hi, guys. How are ya?
I'm not dead, so we got that going for me.
Hey.
You see what I mean? It's like right in.
If I don't wake up and read my obituary, I'm batting 1,000. So,
Absolutely. And Sage, you've got the kitty. So he's like, I'm cuddling an animal.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the rules here on y'all's podcast, because if I say something, you can bleep it out or something, right? If I say naughty words,
that means yes.
Okay.
Ting, ting. Yes. Well, what we do with all of our new guests that come on is we do what's called the 32 count life story. You're going to get 8 and in off the Met, and you just try to fit it all in. Okay. It is anxiety inducing, but for me, it's fun to watch. I know that's awful. I'm not a sadist. However, who wants to go first? I'll
Well,
pick you. Brandon.
okay, I can go. Yeah.
All right. So you'll get 8 off the bat.
8 and you're in. All right. All right. All right. My name is Brandon. I'm 41 years old. I live in the Kansas City metro area. I'm a software engineer by day. On the side, I teach percussion for a community college in Southwest Kansas. I'm married for 3.5 years now, and I've got a 13-year-old son. And I have way too many hobbies, and this is one of them. So, that's about the gist of it.
You kept it very You kept it very safe. Good for you.
I could go into much more detail if you want. I mean, I can get as gratuitous as you're wanting me to. So,
we're gonna save that for your podcast. I'm just kidding. All right, cool. So here we go, Sage. This is your turn.
All right. This is the most tense thing I've ever done in my life. So my name is Sage. I'm the podcaster formerly known as John Weldy. I came out as non-binary late in life, about a year and a half ago. And so I love dealing with LGBTQ people. I run an LGBTQ band in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Started out on saxophone. I played in the Bluecoats for 2 years in the mid-'90s and on the 2022 Alumni Corps. That was my age out officially because I didn't march my age out. And started this podcast along with Nick Powers in 2016, and I just love the activity. Huge fan.
Very good. Very good. See, that wasn't strenuous at all. Come on. That's just an icebreaker. As I listened, I found out that you guys started this back in 2017. And I wanted to know why it started. Like, how did it start? Why did it start? What's that humble beginning?
Yeah, it started out with just me and Nick. So I decided that I wanted to do a podcast. I'd been podcasting on a couple other things, and I decided I wanted to do a podcast for Drum Corps. I'd been in a Facebook group that was mostly Bluecoats alumni that was called Snarks Corps, and so we did snarky renditions about everything that there was, And I was like, man, this should be a podcast. This would be really fun to do. And I was figuring out who to do it with because I didn't really know who I wanted to do it with. I didn't know much about audio engineering. I'm a terrible audio engineer, so I didn't know any of that stuff. I'm so glad the Fossil Chops handles that stuff nowadays. So I was at a show, the premiere in 2017 when the Bluecoats came out with Jagged Line, and it was just after my Bluecoats won their first championship, and I was so excited, and I like sitting way down in front, and I went ape poop crazy with everything, and I was just all up in the, and Nick was not making an illegal recording of it at the time that he did not put up on YouTube, and he kept mentioning me, and so somebody saw this video and showed me and said, "Isn't that you in the video?" "Yeah, it's me in the video." And so I met Nick that way, and he's like, "Oh man, it's that old guy that kept jumping up and yelling," And so that's how I realized that Nick was the perfect person to start the podcast with.
And that's how I'm going to introduce you on the next episode.
That's the old guy. He keeps jumping up and yelling.
The old guy who marched Snarks Corps.
A little birdie told me, speaking of Bluecoats winning, a little birdie told me that I should either get you started or not get you started on how the Bluecoats did not win the Beatles here.
Yeah. Well, how long is this podcast?
Oh, okay.
Would you please talk about that like every episode? You try to.
Oh man, so in the 2019 season, I was recording so many episodes during the season. That's when I was really big on it before COVID happened. So I had so much to say on that. I did solo episodes on it in the middle of the season, and yeah, I mean, I think the Bluecoats got robbed that year, and it was robbed by what's his name? Jeff Prospery. But Prospery is usually a good judge that calls him as a season, but that's definitely where the only gap was in the scores between the Bluecoats and the Devils.
So obviously you're all not afraid to say what needs to be said. And there has been something that you've said that really did get you a little bit of trouble, or that caused a real stir out in the real world.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think most people know that we exist.
Yeah. I was gonna say I haven't seen much coming back directly at us, but I've seen some comments occasionally on Reddit on the r/drumcore subreddit about gratuitous use of sound effects, and I'm just kind of like, well, that's our stick. So
the sound effects are great. Okay.
I actually, the only comments I've gotten in person were at DCI Finals 2022 on semifinals day. I was standing in line for food during one of the intermissions, and I had a couple of Colts age outs in front of me that one of them turned around to me and started talking to me about something. He says, "Hey, I recognize you. Are you from something?" And he was like, "Oh, you're from Drum Corps AF. You're Fossil Chops." I was like, "Man, I got picked out right away." But they seem to be appreciative of the content. So I don't know. We'd have to put out a survey or something to that effect.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that I got invited one time onto a DCI sanctioned podcast, and they wanted to announce me as the host of Drum Corps AF, and DCI wouldn't let them do that, and so they announced me as a Blue Coats alumni instead.
It's a bad word.
I would like to think that we are basically the antithesis of the Marching Arts Roundtable podcast.
Oh.
If that puts it into perspective for people who've never listened to us before. So
no, I've been, just to let you know, I listened to your most recent episode last night, and I loved it.
I could tell the references to Dutch Boy and VK was like, somebody just listened to our recent episode.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's not every episode.
No, because I listened to the rest of the episodes. Well, not the rest of them, but a good number of them today. And I was just like, well, we're going to add that one on there. So
it's good to know we gained a subscriber today. So
awesome.
So what was the most shocking thing that you learned from doing this?
Well, I think right at the beginning of the podcast, when before Fossil Chops was with us, was when the George Hopkins thing broke, and we called him he who should not be named. And we had a couple of the victims come on to the podcast and actually break news of that on the podcast. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, we came on really irreverent and spouting F-bombs, as you say. I don't know what that means, but they realize that we do have hearts for drum corps, and we care about the activity and want the best for the activity.
Wow.
On a similar note, there's the pending lawsuit against Spirit of Atlanta right now. And we just, as part of our just most recent episode, Mackenzie came on for a short segment about that. But there are some things that we were not able to discuss during that interview that she and I have talked about offline that are pretty shocking beyond just what we've heard at face value on those. And I think a lot of that will come out in time. But until then, that's probably the worst I've heard from any of that. Just the stuff that went on through there and the things that have come out because of all that.
Wow. Yeah, I love that stuff when Kenzie talks about it. She is really articulate and well spoken. I think she's a good ambassador for what she's trying to do. I love when she says they won't let me talk about this. I'm like, oh, good, because I don't want to get sued.
It's like, listen to them; they'll tell you what you need to know.
Yep.
And I listened to those episodes too. Well, because that one was on the last one, I think. So this is for both of you. It doesn't matter who answers this, but if there's a dream guest that you could have on the podcast, to really hear their just hear their opinions unfiltered, who would it be?
Man, I could probably say 5 or 6 different people for this. I mean, Scott Johnson, Paul Rennick, Murray Gussick, Murray Gussick, all of your percussion caption greats, but, honestly, Dan Atchison and or Nick Boudreau, the current DCI CEO, and I say him specifically just because Jeffrey Reckes from the Meet the Bus podcast got him before anybody else, and literally I don't think they knew what he was getting into, because it was just kind of like, wait, how did this motherfucker come out of left field and land the CEO of DCI before anybody's talked to him? Like, even before DCI themselves got anything out.
This guy's just, you flipped before I did.
just what? How? And it's like, okay, clearly that's something to attain to. So
he slipped in there and said, "Hey, I got some things for you."
You can throw a goat noise over that; that'll fit.
Well, and also Dan Potter stole his questions. Like all the questions that Jeffrey asked, they took them for his podcast instead. Ugh. Potter. It would not be Potter for me. Yeah, for me, it would actually be somebody that's no longer with us, and that's Michael Boo. I first met Michael Boo as a marching member in 1994, and he was such a funny guy. Of course, DCI always has to have the party line on everything, and Michael Boo was great at writing the party line. But oh my God, when you got him on his own, he had some serious opinions, and he was so funny. I mean, Michael Boo would be a perfect guest for our show. I remember sitting with him as a marching member in uniform, watching the Crossmen, and he said he was talking about our show a little bit, and he's saying that he really loved our show at the Bluecoats, and we asked him about the Crossmen because we were losing to the Crossmen, and he says, yeah, they just played the same music they played last year. Didn't we play this song? Didn't we play this song last year? And I thought it was just hilarious. And I met him also later in life. He came to when there was a show in Kalamazoo. I had a cookout, and he came to the cookout, and man, it was just so much fun. The stuff that he said off the record was so great.
Nice. Wow. I do want to go back to and say, because I did listen to a bunch of the other episodes, but the last one, y'all did give us a shout out, and I appreciate that. It was very nice. And honestly, I wasn't listening to the episode just to get that. I got it at the end, and I was like, oh, that was,
that wasn't even planned. It just slipped in there. So.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I was just like, oh, that's nice. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we are having fun. What do you think has been the best thing that has come out of this podcast? What's been the best thing that's come out of Drum Corps AF?
From my perspective, I would say there's been a bigger push for better accountability in the activity because we're one of the few podcasts that seems to be willing to talk about it and talk about it at face value instead of trying to dance around it. And I think there have been a lot of places that, or a lot of people that hearing that have been emboldened to come forward when they otherwise would not have.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. To me, the best thing that came out of it is it's not about me and Nick anymore. I always have wanted to grow a team and not just have something where I'm doing it and my friend is doing it. I always wanted to have a team, and it just kind of organically came up. I enjoy it. We love having call-ins on the show. We enjoy having every voice. We tell people that their voice is just as important as that dumbass that's walking around on the field. I mean, you have one voice, they have one voice. That's it. You're just as important as they are, and so that's really what I want to do with it. I want to have fun. I want to make it interesting, but I want to empower people and make them realize, hey, my opinion matters too. Just because they get to put a number on a piece of paper doesn't mean their opinion's more important than mine.
Yeah. That whole call-in part where you have people calling in, I'm just like, oh, take me back to the 90s. This is awesome.
I know, man. It's like radio morning show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, so good. Okay, so it's time for everyone to go and watch the Blue Devils from the last 20 years.
Which year are we talking about?
Well, we'll see. We're going to watch it in just a second. Or something like that, since Sage and Brandon are so in love with BD. So we will be right back with more Drum Corps AF, plus a What Are We Doing and some Gush and Goes.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, Guard Closet was founded as a consignment shop in 2000. Since then, it has grown to become your one-stop shop for the marching arts.
Do you need consignment uniforms and flags for your color guard, marching band, or drumline? We have thousands of sets of consignments in stock and ready to ship.
Do you need show design and custom choreography? Our designers have years of experience in the marching arts.
Do you need to sell your items and clear out your storage areas? We take in more than 600 sets of consignments each year and return hundreds of thousands of dollars to our consigners for their sales.
Do you need to have your students order shoes, gloves, and other equipment? We can set up a microsite for easy student ordering of a wide variety of items.
Do you need custom costumes or flags? We can help get you great designs from our team through top vendors like Show Day Designs.
Have you listened to our podcast On a Water Break? Weekly episodes and bonus content keep you entertained and informed with what's going on in the marching arts.
For over 25 years, Guard Closet has been here to help. Check us out at guardcloset.com or follow us on social media.
Okay, Drum Corps AF, you are all very used to getting that sharp attack on your listeners. So we wanted to ask some of them to give us your questions or give you some questions, and then we can put a little spotlight on you for a little bit. So our listeners submitted some questions. Sage, you're up first. Okay. So,
Oh God. Yep.
This podcast isn't the only thing that has brought you some level of fame. Apparently, you had a tattoo go viral.
Yeah, it's all over.
Man.
I get friends sending me, "Hey, did you know your tattoo's on the internet?" People sending it to me all the time. I get it. Can I? Okay, we're on video. Can I show it? Is that kosher? Does man nipple bad for this podcast? I mean, you're not gonna be able to. Okay, here. This is my viral tattoo.
This is why
we've gone full circle now.
Now I found out why he doesn't wear a shirt when you guys are doing it. That's why he's like, yeah, let me let her get some time.
So if you've seen that is indeed me. I've had like Robert Martinez from the Drum Corps coffee shop told me, I all the time tell people that dude marched Drum Corps, and they're like, no, there's no way. I went into a tattoo parlor back last month to get a couple new tattoos. And they said, what other tattoos do you have? And I said, well, you may have seen this one. And I took off my shirt and showed them, and they're like, oh, you're that guy. So they see it all over the place.
Sage, I'm in Cincinnati, so I'm going to have to come and visit you, and then we can go and get tattoos.
That'd be great.
Sage is going to end up with a full sleeve before finals this year. They're ready going.
So, Brandon, this next one is for you, and this ties in nicely with a previous episode we did about NFL marching units, more specifically NFL drumlines. And word is you auditioned for the Kansas City Chiefs drumline.
Yeah, so I sent in a video. I've actually done this the last 2 years. 2 years ago, I sent one in, and I got a call back, and it was on the callback audition was the same day that my wife and I left for Rome. So I didn't get to do anything with that, obviously. But last year I sent one in, and I got a call back, and talking to the people there, they had about 130 people send in videos, and they only called back about 35 of us. So, getting that far, I felt was pretty good. But
yeah,
day of the audition, I felt pretty confident going into it. And then I got there, and it was just an abject train wreck. It was an absolute disaster. It was probably the worst audition experience I've ever had.
Oh, God.
The ensemble stuff went fairly okay, but one or two of the warm-ups that we had were written in a certain time signature and then counted in a different one. And it threw me off for that. And then my solo audition, instead of doing them individually in a room with the panel, they made everybody do them, one at a time in front of the whole group. So naturally I ended up at the tail end of the group and went in with cold chops, and it was just, it was a total train wreck. Yeah. So yeah, I tried out, but that was about the extent of it.
Oh man, you could have been out there on the field last weekend with Tay.
I was just talking to my parents the other night. Like, I was like, man, I'd be going to New Orleans in a week and a half if I'd made it. So maybe.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier about this, but I just want to know what the real story was behind why Dan Potter didn't want to mention Drum Corps AF when you were being interviewed by him.
Well, it actually wasn't Potter; it was somebody else that did a DCI sanctioned podcast. I'm going to say who it is, because obviously they didn't want my name attached to them anyways, But yeah, it was. I really liked doing the podcast with this team. And they told me that they loved our podcast, that it was just like talking drum corps in the back of the bus, with the kids, and it was how people really talk about drum corps, because really that's why we do it, is because there's so much saccharine garbage. Drum corps is like, everybody's great, well, no, not everybody's great. Cavaliers this last year were pretty bad, pretty freaking bad, So
there's a reason why we have the BD89 soprano solo as a sound effect on our end. So
that soundbite. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Sage, one more listener question. A listener who we will just refer to as the Dark Lord of Old Man Get Off My Lawn drumming.
Oh, that's Jeff Ream.
Reamy.
Wow. He asks, How did it feel to admit BD should have won the other year?
Okay, so here's the thing. We get a lot of we get pigeonholed for hating BD, and we just hate the crap that they do. I hate Scott Chandler. I don't necessarily hate BD. Uh, the stuff that BD has done since Scott Chandler's been around, I am just not a fan of it. They do the same thing year in and year out.
Which is a really long time.
It's like 2003, something like since he's been program director there.
Scott Chandler's been
I like BD. I like BD 2003. That was one of my favorite shows back in the day.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I like 2003. I like 2006, The Godfather show. The year that they lost to Caroline Crown when they did The Rite of Spring, I thought that was awesome. I love BD when they don't win. I really did like them in 2023. It surprised me, and I even kind of like I like parts of it in 2019 even. But 2024 again.
Yeah, as we say on our end of the podcast, we're roasting the design and the concepts for BD, not necessarily the members or their execution level. Because I mean, I've got a friend who actually was a field assistant for BD in 2018, started as the Met Boy in 2017 and got promoted. And then by the end of 2018, was slated to be a drum major, and then went to go march in 2019 and was going to be a full-on drum major, one of the four, and tore his labrum and had to have surgery and basically missed out. He went through spring training and that was it. And he's a good friend of mine. So, I mean, he's much younger than I am. So, but that being said, like my beef with BD is that they continue to excel with what I consider to just be box stock, off the shelf, repeated concepts that it's just rehashing the same crap year over year. There's no real creativity or ingenuity to it. You could probably make the same argument for a lot of drum corps year over year.
Carolina Crown's doing that now.
Like that. Yeah, like Crown is in the barrel right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not to say that they don't have the talent, because Jesus Christ, they build talent and they refine talent and they develop talent better than anyone else in the activity, and they've got it down to a science, and there's no denying that.
So can I do a
2023?
Can I? Okay, so the real reason why we don't like BD is that they are a crazy dynasty that is, if anything in sports, you got the Yankees dynasty, the Dallas Cowboys dynasty. You look at Alabama in college football over the last 16 years. Okay, so this is the last 16 competitive seasons. Alabama in college football has won 6 championships. That's .375. BD in the past 16 competitive years has won 10 championships. That's 0.625. That's almost twice as many. Alabama is hated because they're always at the frickin' top. That's why BD is also, for crying out loud. I mean, they're
I get where you're coming from, and as soon as you said Yankees, though, literally, I think I got whiplash because I looked at Trish really quick. Trish is a huge Yankees fan, man.
I'm a lifelong Chiefs fan.
Keep the bulletin board border. Probably can't really see it, but it is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she had like a Yankees Christmas tree.
I did.
Yep.
But to what Brandon was just saying, I mean, I listen to New York sports radio like all the time, and they're starting to say the same thing about the Chiefs. It's turning into, everybody's saying this is the Super Bowl nobody wanted to see, because here's the Chiefs. Yeah. And listen, I'm here for Taylor and Travis. I'm completely here for them, but a lot of people aren't. So, I don't know. I just, it's the same thing, I don't know.
Go Chiefs.
I can see it.
Sports ball, yay. But we all know that you have you both have a lot of opinions, and we know that you will have something amazing for this next segment. So it's time for our snarky part of the show called What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
I know that you will not have a problem with this, okay? And the reason why I say this is because you seem like people who are after my own heart. Like you may have watched a Family Guy episode once or twice. So with What Are We Doing, this is just like what grinds my gears about drum corps, indoor percussion, anything marching arts. So what are we doing? And maybe I can go with Brandon first.
Oh God. So on the percussion side of things, my beef these days is with the arrangers. What the hell are we doing with writing all this music with just endless numbers of metric changes and hand speed changes, and just where's the musicality? Where is the finesse? Where's the fun and the intensity that we actually want to feel? Because to me, it just sounds like an assload of notes that are just being thrown at us, and we can't make heads or tails of it. Like, give me something musical.
Nice. Yep.
So what are we doing? I don't really I really like the general direction the activity is going right now, except for a couple in particular. One very much in particular near the top of the activity that is stuck in like 10-15 where they were 10-15 years ago, and that's Carolina Crown. What are you doing in Carolina right now? Because you're giving us the same stuff every year. And meanwhile, Boston Crusaders just did a show that you could say is a Carolina Crown show from 10 or 15 years ago. And it was brilliant. It was amazing. Crown has gone backwards. They are stuck in their ways. They need to break out of it. And since they finally are dropping down the ranks a little bit and not winning horns, hopefully they're going to break out of it. But I don't have a lot of hope right now. I would really love to see the Carolina Crown of like 2009, 2012, those years.
We know they won't drop as far as the Cabbies have, so
We'll see.
Perfect. So now that we will kind of switch it, because it's the next segment that we're doing, is called Gush and Go. So.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
This is where you can just be braggadocious about anything. You know what I mean? Something good going on in your life, let us know. Something good going on with Drum Corps AF, let us know. But tell us, what you gushing and going about?
Sage, you go
I'm
first.
Pick another corps to gush and go about. So this would normally be where I talk about the Bluecoats, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to talk about what Boston Crusaders did this past year. I have never been a Boston Crusaders fan, except for like 2000. That show was freaking amazing. But this past year, they completely won me over. The entertainment value in what they did this year finally matched up. They finally had the show design. It was interesting. Literally one of my favorite drum corps shows ever. And I've never really been a Boston Crusaders fan. They are definitely on the right track. I really hope that they can keep that performance level high like it's been for the past few years and get another show design that knocks them out of the park like they did this year. It was awesome.
I really, really liked them this year too. And their Teletubby parents that were in the stands, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
So good.
That was fun. All right, Brandon.
I think I'm going to gush and go about what I feel like is I perceive it as a kind of a resurgence in growing the activity again. Even though we actually are losing more corps in the last 3 or 4 years than we have in the previous 10. But we've got 3 all-age corps coming up from Soundsport, not next year, but the year after that. We've got a couple open class corps coming up from Soundsport next year or the year after that. The Skyriders are back. Like
Skyriders!
Yeah. Like Skyriders, and I know a couple people that work for them. And if everything goes well in the next year or 2, I may be launching a WGI independent A-class percussion ensemble. If everything works out well, we'll see. We'll get there, but the goal is to get that going and then maybe get a guard ensemble going as well. So Southwest Kansas might actually enter into the fray of things. We'll see.
You're just trying to like catapult yourself way into the gray hairs. Yeah.
I told you I have way too many hobbies and they're all expensive and time consuming. And that's why my wife hates all of them.
No way. That's great. I'm happy for you. I'm a judge. I will not be on that side of the floor.
Every time I have to record a podcast, my wife gives me the annoyed teenage girl response. The eye roll and the
Love it. I love it. Trish, did you have a gush and go?
I just wanted to say that I think I should be a guest on your amazing Drum Corps AF podcast because I think my hand was raised, but I didn't get called on for what are we doing, because my what are we doing would have been, Sage, what are you doing ripping apart my Carolina crown? So I'm gonna come on, Drum Corps AF sometime, and I'm gonna
off the air that will totally rip them apart. I can't say it publicly, but I can tell you over off the air. Oh man.
Come on over and we'll give you as much of a platform as you want, and maybe you'll get a soundbite out of it. So yeah,
I already have one here. I'm the voice of What Are We Doing? So I mean, I could branch out, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll gush and go about your podcast, because I definitely think that you guys have a place in this market. I think that you say a lot of things that need to be said, and it's really, really great. It's really important. I will also gush and go about Carolina Crown. I think they had a down year last year. I do agree with that. But the show the year before, you could say it's a retread, you could say whatever you want, but the Camelot show was one of my favorites, and there's that. So and also my winterguards are off to a really good start. So I'll gush and go about that as well.
Yay.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
Rude.
I love that soundbite that you have.
I say it to my kids now.
I wanted to say it, but I was like, I won't make it.
I say it to my kids. I'm like, it's gush and go, not gush and stay. Let's go.
Well, I want to just say thanks for a great rehearsal this week. Thank you, Trish, for hosting with me today. Always fun. Thank you for bringing us into your classroom. That's fun.
Yeah,
I love it. Hey, she said, this is where the magic happens. And also, thank you to Brandon and Sage for joining us. Where can we find you on social media, by the way, or in any of the Drum Corps AF?
So the best place to go to connect with any of us is on the Drum Corps AF podcast group. Just go Drum Corps AF. A lot of people that join the Drum Corps AF group don't even know it's a podcast, but we're all up on there and talking about fun stuff.
Yeah, it's over on Facebook.
Okay, all right. And then where can we find you all personally? Are you on social media yourselves?
I am over on Blue Sky, and I actually run the Drum Corps AF podcast accounts on Instagram and Blue Sky. So in addition to Facebook, we're also over on IG and Blue Sky. We have a Twitter account, but neither one of us checks it at this point, and we don't use it because we don't like Nazis.
There you go.
Yeah.
And there's that.
Oh, one more thing, please don't forget to, we have a YouTube channel now so that you can see a lot of our interviews coming out as full-length video editions. Go and subscribe. Don't miss any of those. And before you close out of your podcast listening app, go subscribe, write us a review, and share this with a friend. Follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.